Callie Lane was spontaneous, bold, and maybe a little reckless when it came to love. So reckless, in fact, that she agreed to get married just 2 weeks after meeting him. Her husband? Dr. Damon West, a 29-year-old university professor with every box checked. Money, looks, brains, a stable job, a house, a car, and no complicated family ties. Her mom had said, "Marry him right now. That's the deal of a lifetime." Callie had been totally mesmerized by Damon's cold, intellectual vibe, so she leaped straight into a courthouse wedding. But marriage wasn't the fantasy she'd signed up for. Less than 2 weeks in, it felt like she was rooming with a calendar app. Damon was strict, robotic even. Sleeping early, waking early, eating meals on time, working like clockwork. Callie, on the other hand, was a night owl who lived on chaos, late starts, and creative bursts at 2 a.m. The emotional distance between them was growing wider by the day. After several sleepless nights of overthinking, Callie made a decision. She showed up at his office to talk. "I don't think we're compatible." But instead of agreeing, Damon did something completely unexpected. With a sharp, unreadable look and that low voice of his, he pulled her toward him and whispered, "How do you know, if we've never even tried?" From that moment on, what had seemed like a boring mistake of a marriage turned into something else. A slow, electric unraveling of two people learning what love might really be. Dear listeners, if you love emotional, heartwarming stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let's dive into a tale that will stir your heart and stay with you long after the last word. Callie had married Damon in a whirlwind. He was a respected professor, a doctorate holder with a salary, a house, a car, and no parents in the picture. Her mom practically shoved her down the aisle. And yeah, she'd been hypnotized by that perfectly groomed, glasses-wearing, emotionally detached type. 2 weeks in, she regretted it. Damon was polite, distant. They barely talked. Even when they did, the conversations were misaligned. He was early to bed, early to rise. She was night shift chaos in yoga pants. On the day they filed their marriage certificate, she happened to be on her period. Damon immediately volunteered to sleep in the guest room, without her even saying anything. 2 weeks into being husband and wife, they were basically roommates. Callie didn't want to live like that anymore. It felt like she was stuck in a life she hadn't really chosen. So she decided she'd ask for a divorce. She went to his office, just as a young female student walked in before her. "Don't shut the door," Damon said curtly from inside. The girl peeked out nervously, seeing Callie standing there awkwardly. "If it's not urgent, maybe come back later," the student offered kindly. Callie hovered by the door, feeling weirdly like a character in a television show. Inside, Damon sat behind his desk, sleeves rolled to the elbows, reading a thesis with a frown so deep it could split concrete. "This is your final paper?" His voice was pure ice. "Looks like a draft you wrote at 2 a.m. while sleep-deprived and possessed." The poor girl looked like she might burst into tears. Callie, stunned, realized she'd barely heard Damon say more than 10 words since they got married. And here he was. Brutal, direct, and unexpectedly kind of hot. He flipped the paper like it had personally offended him. "This formatting. What is it? Abstract poetry? I can't even read this. The header's in Latin. Why is my name in the acknowledgements? Take it out. Don't weaponize my reputation." The girl was now clinging to her last shreds of hope. Callie felt a weird sense of sympathy. Suddenly, she remembered her own trauma, writing a thesis. Damon had helped her through it. She was practically failing out of school when her dad handed her off to Damon, a rising academic star and former student of her father's. Callie had always been more creative than academic. She barely got into college, flunked her first attempt at grad school, ended up studying abroad just to tick the degree box. Damon had once edited her paper line by line, patient, kind, quiet. Now, he was ice. And then he looked up. His eyes widened when he saw her. Callie, what are you doing here? In one smooth motion, Damon regained his composure, walked over, and took her hand. Why are you standing outside? Come in. The student blinked, clearly fascinated. Callie awkwardly waved. This is my wife, Damon said. The girl gasped. Wait! Wife! You're married! Yep, newlyweds. The student's jaw dropped. She's so young. When did you get married? Damon shot her a warning look. If you put half as much effort into your thesis as you do gossiping, I wouldn't have to read that literary crime you submitted. Sorry, I'm leaving now, she yelped and fled. Now it was just the two of them. Silence stretched between them. So, Damon started, softer now. What brings you here? Callie fumbled. This wasn't the moment to ask for a divorce. I was, just in the area. He smiled. Just slightly. And ruffled her hair. Perfect timing. Let's go home. Damon was tall, sharp-featured, polished like a 3D printed sculpture. His gold-rimmed glasses only made him look colder. But when he smiled like that, she almost forgot why she came. Honestly, would divorcing this man be a loss? He held her hand as they left, passing co-workers on the way out. Some nodded, others smiled. This is my wife, Damon introduced. We just got married. We'll do a ceremony soon. Callie's cheeks flamed. On the way home, the silence was awkward. She couldn't take it anymore. Why were you being so mean to that poor girl? Damon sighed. She's an idiot. You didn't talk to me like that when you helped with my thesis. You're different. Callie blinked. Different? Damon pulled the car up in front of a pharmacy. Wait here. I need to grab something real quick. And just like that, he disappeared inside, leaving Callie sitting in the passenger seat with a mind full of questions and a heart she wasn't ready to admit might be starting to shift. Callie glanced at Damon as he got back in the car. Did you buy something? Are you sick or something? Did your student give you a stroke? He said nothing, just shot her an unreadable look. Out of the car, he said coolly. They drove home in silence. As soon as they got in, Damon headed straight for the kitchen. Callie had to admit, this man's domestic habits were elite. Even if she slept until noon, the fridge was always stocked with freshly prepped food. And boy could he cook. Dinner hit the table in no time. Garlic shrimp with broccoli, beef rolls with enoki mushrooms, tomato, scrambled eggs, and a light gourd soup. All her favourites. Callie ate quietly. Meanwhile, Damon kept placing food in her bowl, like he was trying to overfeed a kitten. Okay, I'm full, she finally groaned. Only then did he stop. The silence settled between them again. Callie exhaled. This wasn't working. There was no emotional connection. They weren't talking like a married couple. They were functioning like two co-tenants in a very clean Airbnb. Damon cleaned up the dishes in silence. She went to shower. As the hot water fogged up the bathroom, she rehearsed in her head how to tell him, how to say, "I want a divorce." Steam clouded her thoughts. She reached for a towel, slipped, and went down with a loud crash. Pain shot through her leg. She cried out, water mixing with tears, the sting shooting through every nerve. "Callie?" Damon's voice pounded through the door, knuckles rapping hard. "What happened? Are you okay?" She tried to speak, but her voice trembled. I slipped, but don't come in." How? Too late. The door swung open. 4 eyes locked. Her cheeks flared. She was on the floor, completely naked and soaking wet. Damon's eyes widened, and his face flushed from neck to hairline. "Damon," she stammered, trying to cover everything at once. He coughed, clearly flustered, then quickly grabbed a towel, wrapped it around her, and lifted her effortlessly into his arms. She was still reeling from the pain. He gently laid her on the bed. "Where does it hurt?" he asked softly. Callie clutched the towel tight around her body. "My leg." His gaze dropped to her ankle. Her foot was swollen, a shoe strap twisted tightly across it. He almost laughed, but held it in. "That's the wrong size," he said, composed. "I'll return them tomorrow." He knelt down and tried to remove the shoe, but it was stuck. "I think we're going to have to tag team this," he muttered. Callie, completely mortified, tried to keep her cool. "Just try not to break my foot." 5 minutes later, after a ridiculous struggle, they finally got it off. He stayed kneeling, cradling her foot in his hands. "Does this hurt?" he asked, massaging gently. His bangs hung low across his forehead. His gold-rimmed glasses caught the soft light. Callie looked down, blushing fiercely. "Number, it's better now." The pain was fading, but the silence between them wasn't. His hands were still on her skin. Callie inhaled deeply, her heart pounding. "Damon," she said slowly, "I think we should get a divorce." His hands froze. His gaze darkened instantly. "What did you just say?" She looked away. "I said, we should split this marriage." "It's not working." Damon straightened up. His frame blocked the light. He closed his eyes, but the quiet fury behind his voice was sharp. "You think marriage is a joke, Callie? I just feel like we don't connect. We're not like a real couple." A heavy pause. Then he turned and walked off. Before she could process it, he came back. Tossed something onto the bed. "What? How?" Callie's breath caught in her throat. He was shirtless now. "Damon, what are you?" "How?" His voice dropped, low and gravelly. "How do you know we don't fit if we've never tried?" His glasses grazed the bridge of her nose before he took them off. Without them, he looked gentler, less professor, more man. And maybe she should have stopped him. Maybe she should have said no. But she didn't. And 5 minutes later, Callie lay flat on her back, staring at the ceiling, questioning every decision she'd ever made. All that heat and build-up for that? She blinked. 3 minutes? She whispered, half in shock. Damon covered his eyes with one hand. "Callie, this was my first time." She forced a smile, tried to make him feel better. "It's okay," she said sweetly. "It's just a disaster." I mean, maybe it means we're not compatible? She added gently. Maybe we should still get a divorce? Damon's face turned red. Let's try again. What? Just once more. I swear it'll be better. Callie rolled her eyes. Fine. It's not like I'll die from a little disappointment. Just then, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was her mum. Callie! Your dad fainted! We're at the hospital! The mood vanished instantly. Clothes. Where were clothes? They scrambled, half-dressed and panicked, and raced to the car. Damon floored it, speeding through empty late-night streets. Callie sat trembling in the passenger seat, tears welling up. What if he's not okay? What if? How? Damon reached over, took her hand. Don't be scared. Your dad's strong. He'll be fine. His last physical was perfect. Don't let fear run away with you. They arrived at the hospital. Thankfully, her dad had already regained consciousness. Dad, she cried, running into his arms, voice shaking. I was so scared. It's just high blood pressure, he grumbled. Your mother overreacts like always. Callie's mom chimed in. He got mad watching the news about waste dumping in Japan and spiked his BP. Callie sighed, heart slowly calming. The doctor recommended an overnight stay, but her dad refused. Her mom turned to Damon. Sweetheart, you've got classes tomorrow. Why don't you take Callie home? Before Damon could respond, Callie cut in. I'd rather stay here with Dad and Mom. Her mother frowned. It's late. Go rest. I want to stay, Callie insisted, partly because she was worried, mostly because she wasn't ready to be alone with Damon just yet. Her mom clicked her tongue, but Damon stepped in smoothly. She's been worried sick. On the way here, she nearly passed out from stress. Let her stay. I'll come get her tomorrow. Callie looked at him, surprised. He smiled faintly. I'll see you in the morning. Callie's mum nodded as she helped settle her husband in at the hospital. We're fine here, she told Damon gently. Take Callie home so she can rest. Call me if anything changes, Callie said before Damon helped her into the car. Back home, Callie passed out until the sun was already high in the sky. Her mum's voice snapped her out of her dreams. Callie, it's 10 o'clock already. You're still in bed? Callie groaned, cracking one eye open to check the time. It's only 10, Mom. I usually sleep till noon. Her mom raised an eyebrow. And what exactly do you do with your day? Callie stretched and yawned. Lunch around 4, play some games, watch a few shows, go out with Tessa at night. Tessa was her best friend and newly minted bar owner. She'd just returned from 2 years abroad, and Callie had been glued to her side ever since. Living it up like a woman on a mission to reclaim her 20s, Tessa was gorgeous, bold, and basically made partying look like an art form. You've been clubbing every night since you got back, her mom snapped. What kind of married woman goes bar hopping every other night? Callie rolled her eyes. It's not a club, Mum. It's a chill little cocktail bar. Totally clean. I'm not doing anything shady. And what does your husband think about all this? Her mum asked suspiciously. He doesn't say anything. Which wasn't a lie. Damon had his 4 a.m. wake-up call and bedtime by 10. She came and went like a ghost. Callie, her mum said seriously, marriage is something you build. Just because he's quiet and easygoing doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. Sensing the lecture about to begin, Callie launched a sneak attack. She lunged forward and wrapped her arms around her mum like a clingy toddler. Mom, oh my sweet precious mommy, what's for lunch? Her mom sighed and patted her like she was 5. Ask your dad. I don't know how to cook. Which was true. Callie's mom had never stepped foot in the kitchen unless it was to yell for a snack. Her dad had spoiled her rotten for over 50 years. Dragging herself out of bed, Callie followed the smell of something amazing. Her dad was already in the kitchen, cooking up a storm. She snuck a shrimp off the counter. "Wash your hands before you eat, you little rascal." "Dad, why are you up this early making lunch?" "I'm packing a meal for Damon." "Damon? At work? Doesn't he have a cafeteria or something?" Her dad gave her a look. "Does cafeteria food taste like home-cooked food? That boy grew up without parents. If there's anything he wants, it's family." Callie blinked. "You two talk about Damon like he's a saint," she mumbled, chewing on a stolen veggie roll. "You guys really love your son-in-law, huh?" Her dad grinned proudly. "He's perfect. I've watched him for years. Handsome, smart, kind, and no in-laws to deal with. What's not to like? Better than any of your exes." Callie choked. She had dated a string of disasters. Cheaters, manipulators. One guy had even asked her for money to start a podcast. Eventually, she gave up and let her parents choose for her. She'd only been back in the States for a few days when they set her up with Damon West. They'd barely spoken before. She just knew he was the one with no family. Her dad always invited over on holidays. When they met again, he wore a tailored grey suit with subtle patterns and gold-rimmed glasses. His posture, his presence, he looked like he'd walked off the cover of Forbes. Her heart wrecked instantly. Then her parents launched their campaign. He was Dad's brightest student. Skipped 2 grades. Already a tenured professor at a top university. He doesn't have a mom, doesn't have a dad. If you marry him, there's no drama, no mother-in-law issues. She'd been swept up in the hype. Before she knew it, she was signing a marriage license, without even asking why someone so perfect was still single. Now, curiosity finally got the better of her. "Dad," she asked between bites, "why was Damon single for so long? He's a total catch." Her dad didn't hesitate, because he was broke as hell. All he did was study, no time to date. After he graduated, he went straight into research. No social life. "Oh." She frowned. "But, there's nothing weird about him, right?" Her dad paused, looking up sharply. "Callie, you married the man. Are you saying there's something wrong with him?" No, I was just wondering." "Because if there's an issue, now's the time to talk." "No, I mean, he's just quiet." Her dad huffed. "Better than those fast-talking idiots you used to date. What do you need a chatterbox for? So he can charm the next girl while you're not looking?" Okay, you win." She lifted her hands in surrender. Her dad softened. "It's time you stop messing around. You're married now. Find a nice, simple job. You don't have to make a ton of money. If you need help, I'll support you." Callie groaned. "Fine, Professor Lane. I'll take the civil service exam. You happy? Now that's what I want to hear." Finally, with a packed bento in hand, courtesy of Team Mom and Dad, Callie set off for Damon's campus. She arrived while he was still in the middle of an open lecture. The auditorium lights were dimmed. He stood at the front, cool and collected, explaining some abstract theory with perfect clarity. She paused at the door and didn't go in right away. Something about watching him from this distance. It was the first time she wondered if maybe, just maybe, she'd misjudged this man completely. Curious to see what her husband was like in his element, Callie snuck in through the back of Damon's lecture hall. Luckily, there was an empty seat in the last row. She slipped in quietly and sat down. At the front, Damon stood at the blackboard, equations scrawled across every surface in chalk. All of it was complete gibberish to her. He was totally focused, glasses catching the soft classroom lights, his features calm and composed, radiating that calm, intellectual energy that had lured her in from day one. "You're not from our department, are you?" the girl next to her whispered. Callie blinked and shook her head. "You came to see Professor West too?" The girl smiled knowingly. "He's kind of a legend here. Tons of girls come just to stare at him." Callie's eyebrows lifted. "Damon? Popular?" "Oh, totally," the girl continued. "He's like our campus heartthrob. Smart, mysterious, untouchable. See that girl down front?" She nodded toward a pale, pretty student in the second row, eyes locked on Damon like she was in a trance. "That's Lily from our department. Word is she used to know him before college. Always has some excuse to drop by." Callie narrowed her eyes. "Figures." "She's not exactly subtle," the girl added, lowering her voice. "But people don't really like her. Too clingy." And just about every girl has tried shooting their shot with Professor West. He never flirts, always super professional. That's why we all admire him. The girl paused dramatically. "Rumor is, he just got married. No one knows who the lucky woman is." Just then, a cold voice echoed from the front. "You in the back row, since you're so chatty, why don't you answer this question?" Every head turned. Callie immediately dropped her head to the desk, like she'd fainted. Next to her, the girl turned white. She shakily stood. To analyze time FX, we use it to develop theories on fluid mechanics and its real-world applications." "Holy crap," Callie blinked. "This was a top university, all right? People could multitask and throw out academic gold on the fly." "Good," Damon nodded. "You may sit. You!" He pointed directly at Callie. "The one pretending to be dead on the desk. Your turn." Callie grit her teeth. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." She slowly raised her head, red-faced. I don't know." Laughter broke out across the room. Damon lifted an eyebrow. "Office. After class." The girl next to her gave her a sympathetic look. "Oof. Good luck." Callie's blood boiled. "Seriously?" He knew that was her. He did that on purpose. She yanked out her phone under the desk. "Callie, you did that on purpose. Go home on your own. I'm out." She slammed her phone back into her bag and stormed out of the classroom before he could even finish his lecture. No way in hell was she sticking around for his students to find out she was the useless wife. Meanwhile, Damon glanced at his phone and smirked. He sent back a sticker that said, "Don't be mad." 10 minutes later, Callie crept into his office. He grabbed her hand as soon as she stepped inside. "I swear, I didn't know it was you," he said, sounding almost sheepish. Callie scowled and slapped a hot lunch container on his desk. "Ungrateful jerk," she snapped. "I brought you lunch, and you repay me by humiliating me in front of your fangirls." She jerked her hand free and turned her back on him. "I said I didn't mean to," he insisted, trailing behind her awkwardly. "For someone with a PhD, you really suck at apologizing," she muttered, folding her arms. There was a knock at the door. Callie, flustered, immediately ducked behind the folding screen in the corner. The little break area in his office. From the crack between panels, she saw her. Lily, cute as a Disney character, and just as sugary sweet. "Professor West," Lily said shyly, "I brought you some wild honey from my hometown. My mom asked me to give it to you." She placed the jar on his desk like it was priceless. Damon didn't even blink. "Thanks. I'll let my wife know. She likes stuff like this." Callie's ears perked up. And next time, Damon added, his tone flat, please remember to call me Professor on campus. Lily hesitated, visibly flustered. Yes, Professor. She lingered for a beat. There's this new restaurant near campus. They have amazing food. Maybe you could try it sometime? He looked up coolly. I'll take my wife. Boom! There it was. He said it loud enough to echo. Callie pressed her lips together to keep from grinning. Okay, husband. That was smooth. Lily's shoulders slumped as she backed out of the room. Damon sighed. Her mum used to be friends with my mum. She's a student now. Callie raised an eyebrow as she stepped out from behind the screen. Huh, your dad sure likes her family. Must be close. We're not, he said, sliding the honey jar aside. Callie eyed him. Why do you keep letting girls just barge into your office anyway? I don't, he said, but I guess I should start locking the door. You're younger than most professors. You need to keep more distance with your students. Especially girls like that. She remembered what that girl had whispered during class. So many have confessed to him, but he never blurs the line. He's always serious. It was true. Damon didn't flirt. He didn't entertain attention. He was distant and sometimes blunt, but never inappropriate. And annoyingly handsome. Ugh, he was winning her back again. That damn face. After lunch, he packed everything up and said, I've got one more class. Why don't you stay here and rest? Why would I wait around? Because we're married, and we need to talk. For real. She didn't argue. Callie lounged on his office sofa while he taught his next class, scrolling through her phone. She barely noticed the knock until it turned into a click. Someone opened the door. She thought they'd leave if no one answered. But they didn't. She peeked out from behind the screen. And there was Lily. Again, this time with a coffee in hand. The moment Lily spotted her, she froze. Callie didn't wait. She stepped forward, arms crossed. I'm Callie West, Damon's wife. Lily's eyes widened. And I'm just wondering, is it common these days for students to walk into their professor's office without knocking? Callie's instincts screamed red flag the moment she looked this girl in the eye. I'm Professor West's cousin, the girl said, lips tightening into a pout. I just brought him coffee. Callie's gaze was icy. Did you forget? He already reminded you to call him Professor on campus. She folded her arms, voice like velvet and venom. So you brought tea and coffee. Why? Are you trying to cover all your bases? The girl's expression cracked. We've known each other since we were kids, she snapped. He used to take care of me. You think he married you because he loved you? No. He did it out of obligation. Your dad helped him when his mom was sick, right? That's why he married you. Her voice was laced with spite, her words like poisoned honey. Damon's type is smart, accomplished women. His ex was a PhD, now a lead scientist in the US. You barely scrape by at some no-name college. What does a guy like him see in you? Your marriage won't last. Callie's breath caught, but the anger burning in her chest scorched through the doubt. So Damon had said he wasn't close with this girl. And clearly, she was the only one stuck in some childhood fantasy. You're right, Callie said coolly. I didn't graduate from an Ivy. I don't have a bunch of degrees. But for someone supposedly intelligent, you've got the mind of a jealous, petty little girl. She stepped forward, each word sharp and deliberate. I'm his wife! You? You're not even qualified to be the side character. So what gives you the right to come in here and act like you're the leading lady? The girl's fists clenched. He doesn't love you. Callie smirked. Really? Does he love you then? Did he tell you that? Or are you just clinging to some story you made up in your own head? She tilted her head, eyes glittering. Try looking in a mirror. If you're his type, then clearly, I'm blind. Callie wasn't done. I may lack the resume, but I definitely lack the patience, and right now, I really want to throw hands. But I won't. Because unlike you, I've got class. The girl paled, trembling. She turned and left without a word. Callie exhaled. Still seething, she needed to vent. She called a cab and headed straight to Tessa's bar. She hadn't seen her best friend in 2 days, and surprise! Tessa was curled up in the arms of some ridiculously good-looking younger guy. A college athlete, no less. He was tall, sweet, and annoyingly perfect. They were all over each other. Tessa ran over grinning. Girl, he's clingy as hell. But wow, you know what I mean. She leaned in. Like, wow. Callie rolled her eyes. Some of us are in a drought while others are drowning. Tessa laughed. So, how's the whirlwind marriage going? Callie sighed and held up 3 fingers. No way, Tessa gasped. With a body like that? Look, he's a 10. But performance-wise, a generous 3. I thought I'd give him time, but today, he let some green tea batch walk all over me at work. Callie went off, spilling every detail. What's her deal? Tessa demanded. She into his serious professor vibes, or the 3-minute snooze button? Callie banged her glass on the table. I've had enough. I'm done. I want a younger guy too. Tessa grinned devilishly. Well, you're in luck. Baby's got a few friends coming by tonight. The guys arrived, young and cute, calling her ma'am and miss with flirty grins. A few drinks in, Callie was laughing again. Just a little drunk, a little dangerous. Then the music stopped. The room went cold. Damon West was standing there, 6 foot something, with thunder on his face. Why haven't you answered your phone? His voice was low, sharp, controlled. Why didn't you wait for me? The younger guys froze like deer in headlights. Sorry, everyone, Damon said calmly, eyes never leaving Callie. I'm taking my wife home. Before she could protest, he scooped her up, bridal style, and carried her to his car. She huffed the whole ride, a little tipsy, shoes off, limbs all over the place. Back home, he helped her out of her heels and noticed she was wearing the smaller pair he'd bought after her last accident. She plopped onto the couch, arms folded. We're married, yeah, but I don't owe you my whereabouts. Damon stood over her, jaw tight. If something's bothering you, say it. She pushed him away. Fine, I want a divorce. I like younger guys now. Guys who listen, who move, who don't act like a retired librarian. His eyes narrowed. What did you just say? You heard me. Cute, fit, eager, unlike... Unlike what? He growled. Old and manipulative? His hands gripped her shoulders. Callie, you're trying to piss me off. She stood up on the sofa, hands on her hips. Maybe I am. You let that little snake waltz into your office with coffee, like she owns the place. His brows furrowed. You misunderstood. Oh, did I? She told me she's your childhood sweetheart, that my dad bought my way into this marriage, that I'm dumb and beneath you, and you just... Let her. Damon's expression shifted. He walked forward slowly and pulled her into a fierce, almost desperate hug. His voice was hoarse. She's lying. I never said those things. I never thought those things. He cupped her face, eyes finally softening. Yes, her mum helped my family once, but I barely knew her growing up. When she enrolled at my school, her mother asked me to look out for her. That's it. I don't care about her. She's a student. and only a student. Callie stared at him, still fuming. I don't cross lines, Callie, he added quietly. I don't betray, not in work, not in marriage. You have nothing to worry about. And what about you? He asked. You go out all night. You party. You laugh with guys I don't know. But I never doubt you, because I trust you. Callie blinked, the fight suddenly gone from her chest. Every word out of his mouth stunned her. The only reason I married you is because I like you, Damon said, his voice firm but tender as he looked Callie straight in the eye. Her heart skipped. The frustration she had felt moments earlier suddenly quieted. You like me? Then why didn't you pursue me before? She asked, bewildered. He exhaled, clearly exasperated. I'm quite a bit older than you, Callie. I figured someone like you wouldn't be into someone as dull as me. I'm not good at romance. Being with me must feel kind of boring, right? Callie cleared her throat. Well, it's not boring per se. You're just really quiet. Damon chuckled and gently patted her head. Callie, I'm not great at comforting people. You'll have to teach me. Her heart softened, but she tried to act aloof. Girls are easy to console. Just hug us, maybe a kiss or two. Before she could even finish, Damon took off his glasses, pulled her into his arms, and kissed her. His lips were soft, alternating between gentle and insistent, making her head spin. Callie, don't be mad anymore, he murmured against her lips. Breathless, she tugged on his shirt. You're getting better at this. He smirked. Must be thanks to my brilliant teacher. Callie sighed internally. He's picking this up way too fast. Just then, his phone buzzed. The caller ID lit up. Lily. She glanced at him suspiciously. He hesitated, then picked up. A teary voice spilled from the other end. Professor, I'm really sick. Damon frowned. Then go to a hospital. I'm not a doctor. And with that, he hung up. Callie raised an eyebrow. Wow, someone's in tears and you just shut her down like that? Damon tossed the phone onto the couch, voice low and husky. I've got more important things to focus on. There was something in his tone that made her pause. The soft light from the nightstand mixed with the moonlight through the window, bathing the room in a cozy glow. After a while, breathless and dazed, Callie could barely get the words out. Damon, what did you eat? His usual chill demeanor was long gone, replaced with a fierce energy that caught her off guard. I thought you liked younger guys, he teased darkly. Crap, he still remembered that. I was just talking nonsense, she yelped. Damon kissed her temple. I'm not that old, Callie, and definitely not fragile. Neither of them got any sleep that night. The next morning, Callie woke up sprawled across Damon's chest. It should have been romantic, but she was drooling. He was wide awake, voice slightly hoarse. You look adorable. Embarrassed, she wiped her mouth. Stop! He coughed awkwardly. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You were just a little girl. She smacked his arm playfully. Damon West, you're lucky you're cute. He chuckled, leaning down to kiss her forehead. Thank you, Callie, for that candy. She kissed him back. You're welcome. And just like that, the tension between them melted into the background, replaced with something deeper, steadier. A quiet kind of love built not on grand gestures, but on understanding, history, and shared moments they were only now beginning to rediscover. Callie's fingers brushed against his arm without thinking. She didn't know why, but something in the air felt different. Warmer, more tangled than before. Eventually, she bundled up in the blanket and dropped onto the carpet, watching him move around the room, her mind still groggy from sleep. Once Damon finished tidying the bed, he scooped her up and gently placed her on it. Then, without a word, he gathered their clothes from the night before off the floor and carried them to the bathroom. Callie couldn't help the thought that popped into her head. This man had endless energy. By the time she dragged herself out of bed and pulled on her clothes, Damon had already started laundry and disappeared into the kitchen. A quick glance out to the balcony confirmed her suspicions. Clean clothes fluttering in the breeze, her underthings included, droplets still clung to them, glistening in the morning light. The whole apartment buzzed with quiet domesticity. She blinked. Was this really what it was like? Being close? One night, and everything between them had changed. The scent of soup filled the apartment. In the kitchen, Damon stood calmly chopping vegetables, sleeves rolled, posture relaxed. Then his phone rang. Callie crept toward the door, drawn by the sharp tone in his voice. You think being from a prestigious school gives you the right to disrespect others? Gossiping behind someone's back? That's not intelligence, it's cowardice. He didn't raise his voice, but every word cut clear and cold. She's my wife. The proper title is Mrs. West, or Professor's wife, not her. Show some respect. Callie's breath caught in her chest. I married her because I love her. She's the daughter of a respected professor, young, bright, and kind. I, on the other hand, came from nothing. No parents, no name. If anyone's lucky in this marriage, it's me. He paused. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to your parents, your country, and whatever part of the education system failed to teach you basic decency. Callie stood still, eyes wide. Every word he spoke stirred something in her chest. Pride, guilt, awe. Her father had always said Damon was calm, righteous, a man worth entrusting your life to. Only now did she fully understand what he meant. She stepped forward, arms wrapping around Damon from behind. Hey, she whispered into his back. About yesterday. I was kind of a brat. I should have asked instead of assuming. I tried to get under your skin and left without thinking. Damon turned and pulled her into his chest. Number, I should have made you feel safe. That's on me. Why me, Damon? She asked softly. He looked at her for a long moment. When I was still in school, your dad talked about you all the time. Said you were cheerful. Sweet, the kind of kid who lit up a room. When his students would stay late asking questions, he always checked his watch and ran home. Said he had dinner to make for his family. Damon's gaze grew distant. My dad cheated. My mom divorced him. I never saw what a real family looked like, but hearing about yours, I wanted that. And when I was drowning in grad school, my mom was sick. I wanted to quit. Your dad helped me, paid my tuition, told me to keep going. Callie's throat tightened. You remember the first time you came over? He asked. She nodded. It was New Year's. Your dad invited a student who had nowhere to go, said I looked too pale, told you to be on your best behavior. You were so quiet, she murmured, smiling. I gave you a piece of candy and said it'd make you feel better. It did, Damon said with a faint laugh. I remembered that. Every year after that, I kept getting invited back. I didn't say much, mostly just talk to your dad. But you, every time I saw you, I felt lighter. Callie stared up at him wide-eyed. So you've liked me since then? He cleared his throat. Let's not romanticize it too much. You were, 12. She smacked his chest. Damon West, you menace. He grinned and kissed her forehead. For the candy. She smiled. Anytime. And just like that, the tension dissolved. In its place, something slow, warm, and steady. Maybe love didn't need grand gestures or fireworks. Maybe, sometimes, it grew quietly, in shared spaces, in old memories, in soup simmering on the stove, Callie's breath caught in her throat. She's the PhD everyone talks about, right? The one from the US? She couldn't hide her curiosity. They say you never get over your first love. Is that true? Damon squeezed her hand gently, his voice calm. We only dated for a short while, right before graduation. She was the one who ended it. Said she was going abroad and didn't want a long-distance relationship. She planned to stay overseas permanently. Callie blinked in surprise. Wait, so she dumped you? Damon gave a quiet chuckle. Yeah. Back then, I was just a broke student. She made the rational choice. Nothing to regret. Callie wasn't letting him off the hook that easily. So what did you two even do while dating? Read. Debated academic theory. That's it? He didn't get a chance to answer. Callie was already wrapped in his arms. And how's that different from being with me? She challenged softly. Damon's voice dropped, warm and slow. With her, it felt like two teammates, mutual admiration. But you, his gaze caught hers. You're my wife. You make it hard to stay in control. Her breath hitched. One sentence, that was all it took. You've been practicing, she teased, grabbing the front of his shirt. Reading up on how to flirt, old man. Damon looked sheepish. I may have watched a few tutorials online. Callie squinted, grinning. Be honest, did you stumble onto a few spicy websites too? His ears turned pink. No comment. Well, she mused. Professor West, you really are full of surprises. He leaned closer. I was thinking about you. Her heart skipped. Okay. Temporary pardon, she muttered, whacking his chest. She sobered, just slightly. I know I can't give you a lavish life, and maybe we're not some passionate fairy tale couple. Damon cupped her cheeks. But I can give you loyalty, a quiet, steady life, no betrayal, no doubts. I'll always be here. I'll never let you regret marrying me. Callie's throat tightened again. You know, she said with a soft smile, my mom used to say, marry someone like your dad, and I think I finally did. That night, Damon stayed in the kitchen prepping dinner, and Callie slipped into comfy clothes, curling up on the sofa, scrolling through her phone. Warm lights glowed through the spotless windows. The entire house felt peaceful, cozy, and in that quiet moment, Callie realized something. Love didn't need to be dramatic. No fireworks, no grand declarations. Sometimes, love was just soup simmering on the stove, a clean floor, the soft buzz of a home that felt safe. No betrayal, no doubts, just calm. And in the everyday stillness of that ordinary night, she felt more love than she ever had in her life. After dinner, Damon joined Callie on the couch to watch a drama series. She curled up in his arms and teased, Professor West, do you even understand what's going on in Empresses in the Palace? He paused for a moment, then replied, It's fine. Easier than differential equations. Callie laughed. Okay then, who's your favourite concubine? I don't have one, he replied calmly. But I guess I'd survive pretty long in the palace. No, pick one, she insisted. He thought for a second. Maybe Consort Shen. Her? She's one of the villains. She's a little clumsy, kind of cute, he said with a straight face. Callie narrowed her eyes. Wow, so you're into pretty airheads now? Damon smirked, caught red-handed. She bit his chin playfully in retaliation. So, I'm the cute airhead? No, he said, holding back a laugh. You're the cute genius. Minutes later, she fixed her hair and sat up, dead serious. I've decided I'm going to study hard, pass the civil service exam, and prove I've got what it takes. Damon chuckled, lifted her onto his lap, and asked, Would you want to work at my university? Wait. Can I? There's a job placement program for faculty spouses with graduate degrees, usually administrative roles. If that's something you'd enjoy, we can look into it. But we'd be co-workers, so hope you don't get sick of me. Callie's eyes lit up. So I'm about to be tenured too? She grinned wickedly. Okay, I want to be the dorm manager for the men's athletic dorms. Damon's face darkened instantly. Absolutely not. He tightened his hold around her waist. Still into younger guys, huh? Think I'm too old? Callie burst into laughter, wrapped her arms around his neck, and gave him a kiss. No way! They can't compare to you, Professor West. He looked at her with a faint smirk, eyes gleaming behind his glasses. He took them off slowly. Every time he did, it felt like a countdown had begun. The moment his lenses were gone, his gaze turned darker, more intense, like a predator about to pounce. Then he kissed her, hungry, fast, a little possessive. No thinking about other people, he growled. I'm not, she gasped. Just want to nap on your six-pack abs. They fooled around into the night, exhausting every last bit of energy. Later, Callie picked up her phone and messaged her best friend. Young guys are overrated. Do they come with tenure? Number mine does. Officially a campus wife now. Ever since Damon got married, his students knew better than to linger after class. He'd always say, Gotta go cook dinner for the missus. Then later, gotta pick up my daughter. In their 3rd year of marriage, Callie gave birth. Twins. It was an exhausting pregnancy, and they had to deliver early. Damon was a wreck in the hospital hallway, wiping his eyes and whispering, I don't know what I'd do if anything happened to her. When the operating room doors finally opened, he was the first to rush in and grab her hand. Are you in pain? He asked, voice shaking. Not really, she murmured. Is it a boy or a girl? Damon blinked. I didn't check. Damon West. Seriously? They had one of each, a boy and a girl. Their son, Vincent West. Their daughter, Maddie West. Damon never forgot the struggle Callie went through. Quietly, he had a vasectomy. Not wanting her to suffer again, the twins couldn't be more different. Vincent was quiet and focused, often spending hours with one toy. Maddie, on the other hand, was a little firecracker. Climbing, jumping, always in motion. And Damon? He was completely wrapped around Maddie's finger. Every preschool drop-off ended in chaos. She'd cling to him like her life depended on it, crying loud enough to shake the skies. In the end, Callie had to play the bad cop, forcing Maddie into the teacher's arms. Babe, she's crying so hard. Damon looked heartbroken. All kids cry at first, Callie reminded him. She'll get used to it. But Damon spent the whole day, distracted at work, haunted by her sobs. During recess, he snuck over to the preschool, only to find Maddie ruling the classroom like a tiny queen. When it came to parenting, Callie believed in developing interests early, exposing kids to new things. Damon believed in giving the kids freedom to explore, to choose, to just be. Callie, on the other hand, was more structured. "Aren't you worried people will say, 'Smart dad, dumb kids'?" she huffed one night. Damon pulled her into his arms with a chuckle. "Back when I was in school, other professors used to compare their kids. Want to know what your dad said?" She raised an eyebrow. "What?" He said, "My daughter is a little angel. She's kind, she's sweet. That's all that matters." He added, "I don't need our kids to follow in my footsteps. As long as they grow up healthy, honest, and kind, I'll be happy." Truth was, parents are a child's first and best teachers, and both their kids turned out great. Vincent, calm and studious, followed in his father's footsteps and became a scientist. Maddie, wild and artistic, rose to fame as a designer. In separate interviews years later, both mentioned their parents without knowing the other had done the same. "They loved each other always," they both said. "That was our greatest lesson growing up." Damon continued mentoring students through thick and thin, dedicating his life to education. He earned countless accolades, but when asked what he was most grateful for, he never hesitated. "My wife. She gave me a home, 2 children, and slowly filled all the holes in my heart with love." Once, his world was all work and study. Later, it became family dinners, picking vacation spots, planning surprises for anniversaries, and reminding his wife not to drink cold water when she had cramps. People said Professor West had changed, that he smiled more now. And they were right. He'd been healed by the same girl who once gave him a candy and called him a friend. His home was now full of laughter, and he looked forward to tomorrow. Even decades later, the woman he loved would still cling to his arm like a teenager and ask, "Damon, do you still love me?" He wasn't the best with words, but he knew some questions were meant to be answered with a lifetime. When their children eventually grew up and married, Damon held Callie's hand and looked into her eyes. "Do you think we're old now?" she asked. He shook his head. "You're just as beautiful to me as the day we met." They still felt like they were dating. Decades later, her eyes were just as bright, her smile just as disarming. "I'm lucky," she whispered. "The first half of my life, I was spoiled by my parents. The second half, by you." She'd never known real heartbreak. Her life was peaceful, fulfilling. In his final moments, Damon was reviewing a student's paper. Callie sat beside him, reading aloud a poem. "Many have loved your beauty in youth, in truth or in disguise, but only one loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. Years ago, she'd fallen for his looks. But over time, she discovered so much more. His kindness, his integrity, his love for family and country. His face became the least important thing about him." As he reached for her hand one last time, struggling to speak, she smiled and gently took off his glasses. Leaning in, she kissed him. "I know," she whispered. "I love you too." Dear listeners, today's emotional love story comes to a close. If it touched your heart, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel to support our team in bringing more tender, unforgettable stories to life. Wishing you endless joy, gentle days, and a heart always filled with love. Until we meet again in the next story. Take care and stay inspired.